Hi everyone. Every now and then I'm asked how I started this job. Not only out of personal interest, but oftentimes also because people would love to do something similar. It's impossible for me to give you a step-by-step roadmap, partially because I didn't know I started already long before I started to make it my job, but also because there is so much to starting your own company. Everyone does it their own way. Although I don't mind at all to go more in depth, and I will over time, I do want to stress that if you mean to start your own company in the creative branch, don't forget you are a creative person. Being creative is personal, so the way you do it should be your signature. I would like to say I woke up one day and decided, hey, an art career is what it's gonna be, but no. Even though being an artist is all I could ever dream of nowadays, and the fact I couldn't think of any other outcome, this isn't really what I dreamt of or even studied for when I was younger. Fun fact, I've been told many times when I was really young that I should make a career of my art. But guess what? I was young. It's not that I had other dreams or anything. I never really knew what I wanted to be or wanted to do, but it definitely wasn't the thing everyone told me to be, despite me drawing all the time. So I went to do a study called SPW and specialized in mentally disabled care. Well, we all know that didn't work out, because else we wouldn't be here, would we? I spent a few years working in the mentally disabled care, decided it was not for me, so started a study in animal care. I worked a few years in a pet shop and a luxury doggy walk and moved from a study at school to a home study which suddenly disappeared while I was still working on it. Quite a pain, because now I was 21 and I still had no diploma, leave alone what step to take next. Jumping some jobs, thinking of what to do next, I ended up working in the restaurant of my parents. A restaurant that had recently launched and of which I'm still working for to this day. It wouldn't be me though if I would just sit back and do nothing else. I always want to learn more, do new things. In other words, I always want to improve myself. And I did my best to do so. First by starting yet another education, hosted by the same home studio company. After all, they were considered to be the best at that time. And this time it was the studio called graphic design. Yes, my first step to becoming a digital artist. But little did I know at first that the education was at least 10 years outdated. I started to notice that after a year or so, when I came to the chapter about computers. I was surprised to read in 2014 about how Windows 95 worked and what the idea was behind floppy disks. When I called the company for an explanation, I was told they were aware of the problem and were working on it. A month later, I was told I had to pay for my exams, which were still 2 years ahead in my study, as the education would end with that very exam and could not be continued. Suffice to say, that was the end of that education. I'd been spending over a year learning outdated things, and again ended up without a diploma. Well, you would think someone would learn after the first and especially the second education suddenly disappearing. I guess I should have, but I continued though, because after a lot of hassling I managed to get a big discount on the new education on graphic design, which was updated and worthwhile when it comes to the knowledge. But we all know graphic design is an oversaturated market, so landing a full-time job was not an option. I started doing traditional paintings and small jobs for local companies, friends, and the company of my parents. Menus, commercials, folders, posters, websites, such things. Nothing big, often not even paid, but still getting myself a name. I really enjoyed the freedom of these kind of jobs. Of course, there were deadlines, and of course I had my regular job, but being able to plan my own days or even weeks really appealed to me. This was also the time when drawing tablets became affordable. Being able to draw digitally had always been a dream of mine, even though I didn't consider making a career out of it. And just like that, I bought my first digital tablet. In case you wonder which one, It was the Wacom Intuos Draw. If you're looking to try and see if digital art is for you, this is a really good and affordable device to start with. It has no display, but is easy to get used to. If you like digital art, you can always upgrade to a bigger tablet or one with a screen, for example. I got my tablet at the beginning of 2017, and little I knew is that my art career started right there. My very first drawing was a scribbly, uncalibrated landscape, the kind a child would draw. But hey, it was my first time. I to this day regret not saving that project to share with everyone. But I have other ones for you right here. These in fact were my second and third drawings. The heavy use of texture brushes, stems and screaming colors are the telltale signs for a beginner. Enthusiasm hit me and I played around more and more. I had all these ideas in my head, landscapes, creatures, wildlife and many more things. I wanted to draw them all, so I went on. I'm pretty sure I got myself some early records I don't plan to ever break again. Like the amount of textures on the previous one, or the amount of layers I used on this one, 103 to be precise. This was all before I decided to take on some courses. I started off with Hardy Fowler on Skillsare. Man, this was an eye-opener. Suddenly I understood the mechanics of Photoshop, the little amount of brushes you actually need, how to create different effects, compositions, lighting, not using too many layers, and much more. If you're looking to start off and you don't really know where to get started, but you really want to make something solid, make sure you check him out. He really is amazing. I will add a link in the end of this video for a 2-month free subscription if you'd like to try Skillsare out. The end result of this course was a creature design I made with his guidance, and it filled me with so much joy that I finally knew what I wanted to become. Not only someone with the most wonderful creatures in my head and the most beautiful landscapes to accompany them, I actually wanted to put them all on paper, or well, on ones and zeros to be precise. One thing led to another and I found some tutorials of Walid Fegali on YouTube, joined his Facebook group and in 2018 followed his course Evident Cinematic Design, which taught me even more in a short period of time. Mostly about landscape art, but also about character design and more in-depth material design. These two artists are really good to start with if you're looking to do more than just draw for fun. And before I knew it, I started selling custom-made digital animal portraits, recently followed by being asked to start teaching on Skillsare. And I'm proud to say my first course is successfully launched in June this year. This course is about contrasts and textures, and you can draw your own animal portrait alongside my instructions. In the same time frame, I also started my own YouTube channel. The journey goes on. I know it's a lot to deal with. It took years to get to where I'm at now, so don't think it's just... I just had to snap my finger and it was done. It's not like that, even though it may seem that way. Persistence is the key for anyone that wants to start a career in art. You don't need an expensive education or the best tablet ever. Right now I have Yueyong Comfess Pro 13. A good brand, but not the market leader, which is Wacom, and not the biggest tablet either. You do need to educate yourself though, constantly challenge yourself, get to know your audience and potential customers or employers. Get to know the market and find your niche and never give up. Try not to be only creative on paper, but also deploy your art to work for more than just one thing. Your art is worth something, just as traditional art is. The only true differences are the materials you use and therefore what costs they are, and the fact that digital art can be endlessly duplicated. If you make art on request, for example, a pet or a person, I recommend not ever to use it for anything else but your own promotion on your website or social media, and clearly communicate that to your client. This kind of art is personal and is completely tailor-made. Don't hesitate to charge an hourly or flat fee depending on your hourly rate, and be really thoughtful about what you do with the duplicates of that art piece. When you are approached by companies and organizations, the same rule counts. It may be a bit less personal, but usually you sell the rights to use the work to that company. This all is a bit more technical, but here too you charge your hourly rate, and sometimes some money on top of that, depending on what the art or logo is used for. Is it a big company or a small one? Will they go global or not, etc. When you make art for yourself though, for fun, this is a completely different story. Your goal should be to meet your hourly fee, but nobody is going to buy a random art piece you made for fun when you didn't get yourself a name yet. Especially when it comes to digital art. This doesn't mean your art is not worth it. You put hours into making it, and that is worth your hourly fee. Don't allow this to keep you from making your own art though. You need to expand your visual library. You need to practice. It's much better to repurpose your personal art and make package out of them and sell them on, for example, Etsy or your own website as a digital download for different purposes, or sell them as posters or something, all for a relatively low price. This way, your hourly fee will come to you in time after selling prints or downloads through time and through multiple sales. This is called a passive income, and as you don't sell your artwork on an exclusive base, as you would do with an animal portrait or a company logo, for example, you can sell it endlessly. We live in a wonderful time, a time where we can decide ourselves what our next move will be. It's a rocky and sometimes treacherous road, but all the information is out there. If you do what you like, and you either have the financing to set up your company or are handy enough to do that yourself, there's nothing but yourself keeping you from doing what you love. Well, that's it for today. Thanks again for joining me this time, and if there's anything else you'd like to know, please just leave a comment. I do my best to answer all your questions. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to stay tuned. Have a lovely day and keep it up. See you next time.